Today, we are going to talk about periodicity. Periodicity is a term given to the variation of a type of exercise over a cycle of practice. So, what does that mean? That was like nonsense, right? Let's say you're running. Do you run hard every day? Do you run easy every day? Do you run fast sometimes and slow sometimes? These are your questions. I know there's a lot of people who will do the same thing every day. I'm absolutely one of them, especially if that's, just what you want and what's like right for you at the time. But if you want to improve quickly at something, it is often very helpful to engage in periodicity, which means focusing on a very fast run, or let's say an interval training run on one day, slow runs on the other days, maybe a long run on one day, and then repeating that cycle. So what this does is it focuses in very intensely on a specific skill and skill set. For example, when you are doing a really long run, you're learning how to keep going for a long time. There's a mental thing there. Your body's getting used to putting in a lot of, let's say, steps, impacts, etc. Over that period of time, learning how to store and use energy over that period of time, right? Whether it's 10 minutes or an hour or 4 hours, like you need to work yourself up to that type of length. And it's slightly different than if you're going on a really slow recovery run for a short pace, right? Because each of these runs has a different purpose. And it's definitely different than doing a very fast, high intensity interval training type of run, right? Where you do sprints or repeats or whatever. So running is one of the activities that I executed this on and saw such a huge improvement versus what I used to do. So I used to just run same pace every day, and I'd try to go a little farther every single day, but that's not really what you need. It's much better to do something where you have a baseline of what we call recovery runs, which is running kind of slow in a relaxed conversational tone. You run for, your heart rate stays relatively low, so you can run for a relatively long period of time. And during this time, you just get blood flowing and it helps you recover. It helps your muscles grow. It helps your aerobic base, etc. And then you have these two, what we'll call workout days, where you do intervals. And that really works on your running economy. Your form essentially helps develop and grow muscles, your hamstrings, glutes, thigh, like quads, calves, everything. Like it focuses on that. And your body can recover during the other days. And then the long run, which focuses on, let's say resilience and kind of building up building up the ability to go the actual distance, right? And so this is at least how I varied it. And each week I even varied the intervals that we would do. And so this is kind of also like a known thing in let's say weightlifting, right? Where you could go in and do the exact same exercise every single day. You do your 3 sets of 8 at this weight. And then, every week, every time you go in, you try to go up 5 pounds, But another way of doing this is having this periodicity where some days you go kind of shorter, harder, higher weights, right? So maybe you do 3 sets of 3 at a much higher weight, or you try to do, your 1 rep max or whatever. Other times you do many sets, low reps, or, many reps and many sets or whatever. And varying this over time, having that periodicity helps you improve the specific aspects that might be overtaxed or overutilized in any one type of training. So now this is mostly, it comes from like a physical background. Like physiologically, it makes a lot of sense. But I actually love using this type of practice in skills as well. So for example, when I was doing, chess, I would try to do 1 hour deliberate practice focused at the edge of my boundary. But of course I would drill different things. And occasionally I would go, very deep into one difficult thing, and then kind of have like the baseline for the rest of it, and then go back in on the next cycle, right? So that could be, every week I would do 1 hour of intense blindfold chess or something, and another time where I would do very hard puzzles at a slower pace, or very easy puzzles at a faster pace, because each of these kind of focus on a different thing, whether it's immediate pattern recognition or, visualization depth for blindfolded, or really logic for those longer puzzles, right? Logic and kind of like a large tree search. So each one does a different thing. And of course, your training schedule is completely dependent on what you're doing and whether it's physical or mental, and like what you need to focus on, what you need to drill. But having this type of periodicity where you focus on different aspects of the thing is kind of a relatively common practice in improvement. Now, I don't have a ton of research and evidence on periodicity, in at least in the back of my head. But I would love if you could, link to something and put it in the comments. That'd be really helpful, and share it with me, actually, because I would love to get a little more research about all the things that I like to espouse. Always go to the white papers because, as a nerd, I really love the idea of bringing academia back out into the mainstream. Great. Thank you so much. Please incorporate some periodicity in your day, in your life. Love you. Goodbye.